Hey, this is Mike, and I want to do a video about getting triggered, whether that's from an argument, a conflict, something somebody said to you that really hurt your feelings, or something that was done to you that made you angry or anxious or just generally upset. And I think this is really common. I know that it happens to me quite common, and well, it happens to me quite often. And yeah, over time, I've learned a little trick to help with this and kind of get over the sting of the problem and be able to see the whole situation more clearly. And sometimes I get very resentful. I get very triggered, and my mind just spins trying to figure out the situation, almost always blame the person, figure out why they are wrong, how I could explain to them how they were wrong, how I could show them how they were wrong. Sometimes I want to get back at them, and hurt them the way I'm hurting. But often I'm like the more passive aggressive type. I want to show you very intellectually how you are wrong and how you need to correct your behavior. And I often just think about that conversation and how I could approach you for hours, spinning in my mind. But everybody's got a different way of coping and dealing with those resentments. The worst thing we can do is just act on that in the moment. I've gotten a lot better at that with the pause. The pause is the best thing we can do, and the pause for the time to get us out of the situation so that we can take that alone and be with ourselves and process that. The long pause, that is so helpful. So it's hard, it's hard when we get triggered in these situations. Our automatic reaction is to push the feelings back on the other person, to fight back, to defend ourselves. But again, the best thing that I found is to pause, hold on to what I'm feeling, and then take that to a place where I can feel that, and at a later time. Maybe it's a couple hours, maybe I go to my car. For me, it's normally a couple hours or later that night. A lot of times I spin in my head so much that I'm like, okay, I know what's going on, I gotta feel this. And so then I will sit with myself, I'll breathe, I'll try to get into the feelings. I even say to myself, sometimes this is really helpful, I'll say, wow, this hurts really bad, this is so painful, I feel so angry, or I feel so afraid, or I feel so rejected. And a lot of times that gets me into my body where I start feeling, and I'll have tears start coming down my eyes. Now, it's not like a dramatic crying or anything. It's more like I'm just feeling those feelings, and the tears are a sign that I'm processing that feeling, and it's just moving through my body. A lot of times the situation touched something old, some old rejection, some old abandonment, some old fear, and the situation just touched that. And so the feeling's way more amplified than the situation calls for. But what happens is once I feel it, that charge goes away, and I'm actually able to kind of get all the craziness in my head slows down, and I start to get an accurate assessment of myself and the situation and the other person. Things start to become clear. Sometimes my mind just totally clears up and the situation seems as petty as it probably is. Not everything's petty, but a lot of times these are petty situations that really trigger me. And once I felt the feelings, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Or I know how, or I'll even want to go to the person and talk to them and tell them, kind of make amends to them, or tell them I'm sorry, and write things and reconnect. I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal for me, is to try to reconnect with the person. I know sometimes that's really difficult and it seems impossible, but in a lot of situations it is possible. Of course, if we're being abused, that's not the goal, but in a lot of situations it is. In a friendship, in a partnership, even with at work, we can repair these things and bring back a connection and feel good, and they can feel good. So this is just a little tip. You can start to look forward to these situations as situations where we can get closer to ourselves, build a better connection with ourselves. So not only improving connection to ourselves, but then improving connection with the people around us. So then we don't look at this pain as something to avoid or control or push away. These situations are actually opportunities to grow. So thanks. Hope that helps somebody. Love you guys. If this resonates, or you've ever done this, or this sounds crazy or whatever, just leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks.